As a seasoned detective, I had seen my fair share of eerie crime scenes, but nothing could have prepared me for the chilling night I encountered something truly disturbing. It all began when I received a call about a disturbance in an old, decrepit mansion on the outskirts of town. The house had a sinister reputation, and locals whispered about it being haunted. Ignoring the rumors, I arrived at the scene with my partner, Detective Anderson, a level-headed veteran with a no-nonsense approach to his job. The mansion loomed before us, its time-worn facade obscured by overgrown ivy and shadows that seemed to writhe in the moonlight. We approached cautiously, flashlights in hand, our footsteps echoing through the eerie silence. The front door creaked open as if beckoning us inside, and a shiver ran down my spine. The air was thick with a palpable sense of dread as we ventured deeper into the dimly lit foyer, where the floorboards groaned in protest with each step. Our investigation led us through winding corridors and rooms that seemed to exist in another time, filled with antique furniture draped in dusty sheets. The oppressive atmosphere was suffocating, and I could see unease etched across Anderson's face, mirroring my own apprehension. As we ascended a grand staircase, a chilling breeze swept through the hallway, extinguishing our flashlights. Panic threatened to consume us as the darkness closed in. Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream pierced the silence, echoing through the mansion's twisted hallways. Anderson and I exchanged a glance, our instincts kicking in as we raced towards the source of the sound. It led us to a chamber at the end of a long corridor, where we found a terrified woman huddled in a corner. Her eyes were wide with fear as she pointed a trembling finger at a shadowy figure lurking in the room's corner. The figure appeared to be a spectral apparition, its form shifting and wavering like smoke. It emanated an aura of malevolence that sent shivers down my spine. We cautiously approached, our weapons drawn, but the entity vanished into thin air, leaving us bewildered and filled with dread. The woman, who identified herself as Emily, was in a state of shock. She explained that she had been investigating the mansion's haunted history, hoping to document paranormal phenomena for her website. She had felt an eerie presence since she arrived, but had never encountered anything as terrifying as what we had just witnessed. We escorted her safely out of the mansion, promising to investigate further. Our subsequent research revealed a dark history of the mansion, including tales of a malevolent spirit said to have tormented previous occupants. The encounters with the entity remained unexplained, and the mansion's haunted reputation only grew stronger. As for Emily, she abandoned her paranormal investigations, forever scarred by the nightmarish encounter. Detective Anderson and I, on the other hand, continued to ponder the mysteries of that decrepit mansion, haunted not by the crimes of the living, but by the sinister specter of the supernatural, a chilling reminder that some mysteries are better left unsolved. My name is Sarah, and I've been a police officer for over a decade. I've faced my fair share of harrowing situations, but one night stands out like a ghastly specter in the corridors of my memory. It was a frigid October evening, the moon shrouded in thick clouds as I patrolled the desolate backroads of my sleepy rural town. The dispatcher's crackling voice pierced through the silence, directing me to investigate a call from an elderly couple who claimed their farmhouse was besieged by eerie, otherworldly lights. With a skeptical sigh, I made my way to the remote farmhouse, its ancient timbers groaning as I approached. The couple, Mr. and Mrs. Anderson, met me at the door, their eyes filled with a mixture of fear and trepidation. They led me inside and explained that for weeks, strange, pulsating lights had besieged their property at night, casting an eerie glow over the fields. Duty-bound, I ventured out into the sprawling darkness, the chill gnawing at my bones as I scanned the horizon. Just as I was beginning to dismiss the claims as mere hallucinations brought on by isolation, an unearthly luminescence erupted from the fields, bathing the landscape in an otherworldly green glow. My heart raced, and I fumbled for my radio to call for backup. The lights seemed to dance and weave, their patterns shifting in ways no human-made object could mimic. Fear clawed at me as I cautiously approached, But before I could investigate further, an overpowering sense of dread descended upon me. It felt as if an invisible hand had squeezed my heart, choking my breath. Out of the glowing mist, shadowy figures emerged, their forms indistinct and fluid. My training told me to retreat, but I couldn't tear my eyes away from the spectral apparitions. They whispered in an unearthly tongue, their voices a haunting chorus that sent shivers down my spine. Panic threatened to engulf me as I realized I was in the presence of something beyond comprehension. Just as I was about to make a desperate dash back to the farmhouse, the figures dissolved into the eerie lights, which began to retreat into the night. Gasping for air, I watched as they disappeared, leaving me standing alone in the darkness. My backup arrived moments later, finding me trembling and incoherent. The investigation that followed uncovered no earthly explanation for the phenomenon. It left me haunted, sleepless nights spent wondering about the enigmatic lights and the entities they concealed. Mr. and Mrs. Anderson moved away, unable to bear the terror that had consumed their once peaceful home. As for me, that fateful night forever altered my perception of the world. I became a silent guardian of the strange and unexplained, patrolling the boundary between the known and the supernatural, knowing that some mysteries are beyond the reach of our understanding. My encounter with the spectral light serves as a constant reminder that in the darkness of the unknown, the line between the living and the otherworldly can blur, and the unimaginable can become all too real. My name is Officer Daniel Mitchell, a seasoned cop with a reputation for handling the toughest beats. One chilling night, I was assigned to investigate a notorious crack house that had plagued our neighborhood for years. As I approached the rundown building, my boots crunching on shattered glass and discarded needles, a sense of unease settled over me. This place was the epicenter of chaos, and the desperate souls who frequented it were known to be unpredictable. With my hand firmly gripping my service weapon, I entered the dimly lit crack den, my flashlight cutting through the thick haze of smoke and despair. Shattered furniture and graffiti-covered walls bore witness to the countless horrors that had unfolded within these walls. My heart raced as I ventured deeper, the nauseating stench of chemicals hanging in the air. As I moved cautiously through the maze of debris-strewn rooms, I stumbled upon a trio of jittery, emaciated figures huddled in a corner, their sunken eyes locked onto me, their faces twisted by a terrifying blend of desperation and aggression. I ordered them to freeze, but their response was anything but compliant. With a frenzied rush of adrenaline, they lunged at me, their skeletal frames surprisingly strong. I fought back, grappling with the first assailant while struggling to maintain control of my firearm. The cramped quarters of the crack house became a battleground, chaos unfolding as punches were thrown, and curses filled the air. My training and experience kicked in as I fought off the attackers, but their relentless determination was unnerving. The odds were against me, but I couldn't afford to let fear take hold. Finally, I managed to subdue one of them, my radio crackling with desperate pleas for backup. Minutes felt like hours as I struggled to maintain control, my uniform torn and bloodied. The sound of sirens in the distance was a welcome relief, and just as I felt my strength waning, my fellow officers burst into the crack house, their presence forcing the remaining attackers to retreat. The aftermath of that night left me with a deep sense of dread. I had faced dangerous criminals before, but the desperation and violence of those crackheads had been something else entirely. The investigation that followed uncovered a network of drug dealers and users, leading to numerous arrests and the eventual demolition of the crack house. But the memory of that terrifying encounter still haunted me. I knew that as a police officer, I would continue to confront the darkest aspects of humanity, but that night had been a stark reminder of the unpredictable and relentless nature of addiction. It left me with a newfound empathy for those trapped in the vicious cycle of drug abuse, even as I remained steadfast in my commitment to keeping the streets safe. In the end, my encounter with the crackheads served as a chilling reminder that the true horrors of the world often lurk where we least expect them. and that the battle to protect our communities can sometimes lead us to the darkest corners of the human soul.